Forza Motorsport launched 6 months ago and it was an absolute train wreck, and that is putting it lightly. It was an unfinished, buggy mess which was barely working properly when it launched. And today, I'm gonna answer if the game is worth your time and worth playing after all these months. Because let's be real, there are a lot of great racing games on the market right now, and with your hard-earned money, you deserve to play a good game. Now, if you're among the people who think that launching AAA games broken, unfinished and buggy is absolutely irredeemable, then I completely agree with you. And if you don't want to come back to the game because of how a $70 AAA game was shipped in such a bad state, then I can completely understand your feelings, and I agree with you. Shipping a $70 game with false advertising saying it's built from the ground up, it is irredeemable. It is absolutely 100% wrong. There is absolutely zero excuse to ship a game in the condition that Forza Motorsport was shipped in. Lacking content, barely working, game mechanics that weren't fun but made solely for the purpose of making you play the game for as long as possible so that they could make you pay for car packs or the premium membership or things like that. So yes, if you think that this is unforgivable and you don't want to come back to this game, I completely agree with you on that front. But if you're one of the people who are like, hey, I pay $15 for Game Pass every single month, and even if Forza Motorsport is trash, I can play all these other amazing games that are on Game Pass, and so you just want to see that you're already paying for Game Pass, so is Forza Motorsport worth coming back to? And also because there are some games like No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk who have shipped broken and they have made an amazing turnaround. So you might think, has Forza Motorsport actually made a turnaround? Because at the end of the day, we all love Forza, and if they are actually going to keep working on the game and not abandon it, then as a fan, I would absolutely want that it does pull a Cyberpunk. But reality is often harsh and the truth might not be what we like. So I don't want to waste your time at all, because unlike these companies, I do respect your time. So if you just want an answer if Forza Motorsport is worth playing after 6 months of patches and is it fun now, then the short answer is no, the game is not worth playing. And if this is what you came here looking for, then that's it, the game's not worth playing. And if you're gonna click off the video, then I hope you have an amazing day. But if you want to know in detail all the changes they have done and why I think the game is still not worth playing, then keep watching the video. And if you enjoy content like this, guys, and if you want to see me cover more Forza content, which I do by the way, then please subscribe, as less than 1% of the people watching are subscribed to the channel, and I would love to have you guys on this journey with me. Now without any further ado, let's get right into it, and I actually want to start off on a positive note and list some of the positive changes that Turn 10 Studios have actually done to Forza Motorsport. We have gotten around 8 big patches, and every single patch has been full of pages and pages of bug fixes, which just really shows you how broken the game was at launch. There have also been a lot of PC optimizations, especially stability and less microstutter and less bugs overall, less crashes, less freezes. Before, the game used to crash all the time on me, but now I'm barely seeing any crashes. And all of these in-engine cutscenes which play before the races, they're pretty smooth now. They used to have microstutters before, but they're pretty smooth. The install size of the game has also gone down by 25 GB, which just shows how much clutter there was before in the install size. And most of all, I'm experiencing actually quite a lot better frame rates than I was like even back in January when I last played this game. I'm playing at 1440p ultra settings, and back then I was getting around 60 to 70 FPS. Now on the same 1440p ultra settings, I'm getting anywhere from 80 to 90 to 100 FPS, which is a pretty big massive difference. So on the optimization front, the game has definitely gotten a lot better. I mean, it's not completely fixed, but it's a lot better. FSR is still not working as far as I can tell, but it's definitely a lot better. I also noticed that the game uses less VRAM in the livery editor, and speaking of the livery editor, they also added some aesthetic lighting options in the livery editor, which is okay, pretty cool. They also fixed the ambient occlusion in the Le Mans track, which was sorely needed. So there have been a lot of minor fixes over the period which have added up and actually made the game more technically sound. It's still nowhere near perfect. It still has a lot of places to go. There's still a lot of issues, but yes, the game is a lot more stable and a lot better performing than it was 6 months ago. But sadly, even if you fix the broken performance of the game, as long as the game is not fun to play, I mean, it's all meaningless at the end of the day. It doesn't really amount to much, but let's get into it. And I want to start with the car progression system, because they have overhauled kind of the car progression system. So at launch, everyone, including me, hated the car progression system. I've made a video on why the car progression system is so bad in this game. And how they have overhauled the car progression system is they have done two things. First, they have removed levels from the parts. So before, you had to reach a particular car level to unlock particular parts, but from now all the parts are unlocked from level 0. So as long as you have the car points, you can unlock any part anytime you want. And secondly, even if you don't have all the car points, you can use your cash currency to buy car points. So even if you just bought a car, you don't have to grind and level it up if you want to add some parts to it. And just like Forza Horizon or any other respectable racing game with car customization, you can just spend your cash and convert it into car points, and then you can buy all the parts that you want. And you're probably gonna say this is huge, and I thought so too, but sadly not everything is roses and sunshine. Because now, eliminating the need for car points means two things. One, either you spend your cash to upgrade your car, or you keep doing what you were doing before, and that is grinding the car levels until you unlock enough car points that you can equip the parts that you want. So what this does is basically it just puts a spotlight on how stingy the economy in this game is. Like, we all keep talking about Forza Horizon and how that game is pretty free with how much money it gives you, and you know, like 30 minutes you start playing the game and it's gonna throw a Lamborghini at you, and it's gonna throw so much money at you, and progression in that game is pretty easy. But you know, I would take that type of progression any day over the grindy and stingy economy and the low payouts that are in Forza Motorsport. Like, I'm doing 5 lap, 10 lap circuits and I'm getting paid 13,000 credits, 15,000 credits, 20,000 credits, which is barely anything. And most of all, the biggest flaw in my opinion is the car points are not a universal currency. What I mean is that the car points are tied to specific cars. So they're not a universal currency which we can use on any car we want. So for each car, you have to either spend your cash again or either grind car points by leveling the car up. Now you might ask me that why would it help if car points were a universal currency? Well, let's say you started a series in the Builders Cup and you got a car, you spent some cash to buy some car points, you upgraded the car a bit, and then you played the entire series with that particular car. And of course, if you're gonna play with that car, the car is gonna level up. Let's say the series had a 700 power index and you already reached the 700 power index when you spent money on the car points. So now when you play with that car, you're gonna level up that car and you're gonna get more car points, but those car points are gonna be useless for you because you don't want to upgrade your car anymore. And you can't really do anything with those car points because you can't use those car points on other cars, because for any other car, you're gonna have to grind it from 0. And this is why this particular overhaul of the car progression system feels more like a band-aid fix than an actual solution to me. Even if you get a car and you upgrade it to the max level, if you keep driving, you're gonna keep getting car points, but those car points are gonna be useless because you already upgraded the car to the maximum that you wanted. So car points should have been a universal currency, and also the economy in this game is really stingy. The payouts are really stingy, they're really low, and honestly guys, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Let's be real, these guys just wanna make a quick buck and sell you the premium membership so that you can get double credits and double payouts. And that seems like such a low blow to me. Like, fix your economy, man. Anyways, moving on. The lifeblood of any motorsport game is gonna be the tracks. And in the last 6 months, Turn 10 has actually added 5 tracks. Yas Marina, Hockenheim, Daytona, Nürburgring Nordschleife, and Brands Hatch. These tracks are definitely not built from the ground up, As the advertisement for this game suggested, every single time they showed Forza Motorsport, they were like, everything is built from the ground up, the tracks, the cars, everything, blah blah blah. And that is such a load of, oh god. So here's an example, Daytona. I remember all the way back in Forza Motorsport, that was in 2015, Daytona used to have this issue with the pit lane opened in turn 1, so it used to cause a lot of collisions. And Forza Motorsport still had this issue in the Daytona track when they introduced it a couple of months ago. And it was only recently, in a recent update, where they properly fixed the pit lane. And the same is with the other tracks like Nürburgring. There are a lot of inaccuracies and wrong curbs in these tracks, and it is pretty clear that the scans for these tracks are definitely not new and at least a couple of years old. A lot of big YouTubers have already covered the inaccuracies in many of these tracks. One of the biggest things that frustrates me a lot is the Nürburgring Notch Life track. When you drive it at night, for some reason they added these floodlights in the track which aren't really there in real life, and if you drive on the Nürburgring in real life, the track is pitch black at night and you can only rely on your car lights to see the way. But in Forza Motorsport, for some reason they added all of these floodlights. The track looks way too bright. There are also a lot of other things wrong or completely lacking with this game. One of the things is, of course, the cars. A racing game lives and dies by its cars. And it's so frustrating to me that a motorsport game has such bad car sounds. Like honestly, I was playing the Crew Motorfest a couple of days ago, and that arcade game has so much better car sounds than Forza Motorsport. Like a V12 in that game actually sounds like a screaming V12, whereas a V12 in this game just has a generic sound attached to it. And also a lot of the car models are still outdated, and many of the cars actually have the same car models all the way back from Forza Motorsport 5. And again, built from the ground up. I can't believe they did such blatantly false and untrue marketing for the game. Another massive issue I have with the game is the AI Drivatars. As someone who mostly plays in the single player, the AI drivers are just so bad, so frustratingly bad. To Turn 10's credit, they did fix the issue where the AI drivers were absolutely colliding into each other, so the first turns are usually a lot less chaotic than they were a couple of months ago. But still, the Drivatars, the AI drivers, are nowhere near up to the mark. First of all, they will still collide with you for no reason, or at other times, they will give you space so that you can overtake them, and they will deliberately get out of your way, which just feels so odd and so unnatural. They also stick to the driving line like absolute glue and barely deviate from it, which honestly makes the racing experience so frustrating, as it just breaks you out of the immersion and makes you feel like, yeah, you're playing a game and not a really good one at that. Also, this is supposed to be a motorsport game, and all the single player events in the series are basically for road legal cars, which is so confusing. Like, why aren't there events for motorsport cars? And also the tracks, like why haven't we gotten any tracks which weren't in any of the previous Forza Motorsport games? Hey, I know why, because all they're doing is copying the tracks from the previous Forza Motorsport games, and they haven't actually made anything new. But people have paid $70 for this game, so they should actually make a new track. How about some fictional tracks? I would love to race in France. Some street races, maybe. But yeah, that's just a pipe dream. I mean, if they fix this game and actually make it fun, that would be more than enough considering the state that this game is in now. And that's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, Forza Motorsport is just not fun. Whenever I try and boot up Forza Motorsport, after a couple of minutes of playing, what the first thing in my mind is that, hey, I can't wait till I put this game down and I don't know, play anything else in the market like Forza Horizon or Gran Turismo or anything else. I think the Xbox Forza devs also know this, because recently in the new Forza Horizon update, they have been porting a lot of the motorsport cars in Forza Horizon, and I have seen a lot of people in the community actually rejoicing because they were like, who wants to play Forza Motorsport? The game sucks. Hey, at least I can play these motorsport cars in Horizon now, which is a lot more fun game. And it just beats me, man. Like these two teams, the Playground dev teams and the Turn 10 teams, from what we have seen from the development of previous motorsport and Horizon games, these two teams work very closely. So it baffles me like how one team is constantly making pretty good games and the other team is constantly being so extremely disappointing, out of touch with its fans, and completely delivering broken, buggy and unfinished products for years now. Like Forza Motorsport took 6+ years to make, and it makes you wonder like, what were they doing for all of these years? So at the end of the day, my honest thoughts, guys, here's the thing. However much money you're willing to spend on a video game, whether it be $15 on Game Pass, $40 for Forza Motorsport on sale, or $70 for buying Forza Motorsport outright without a sale, at the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money. However big the amount is, it is your hard-earned money, and for your hard-earned money, you should be getting the best possible experience. Because if you are trusting a company and giving it money, it is their job to give you a product which fulfills its intended use. And what is the intended use for video games? It is to have fun, it is to enjoy. And Forza Motorsport in its current avatar is far from anything enjoyable. So even though there have been a lot of updates for this game, and I do credit the developers that despite the massive mess up that the executives at the higher level have done in the mismanagement of this product, it is my salute to the devs who are still doing their best to fix this game. It's just not enough. It's not a fun game, and I, in all my conscience, cannot recommend that you go to this game or buy it during a sale or actually waste time, because if you have Game Pass, there are a lot of other games on there. You have Forza Horizon, you have all the Need for Speed racing games. If you like track games, you have the other grid games, you have the Formula 1 games, you have a lot of other games which are honestly more complete games than anything Forza Motorsport is. So I would say play those games instead. And if you're thinking of buying Forza Motorsport, I'm just gonna say it's not worth your time, not at least right now. So that is all I have to say, guys. And if you enjoyed the video, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as that would mean so much to me. I hope all of you have an amazing day full of positivity and happy gaming.